Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reading out loud my Cornell University Writing Supplement essay. The essay prompt was essentially what do you want to study and why do you want to study it at our school of Cornell. This was from over 5 years ago, but I think that this is a really good essay to be able to share just because this is a very common prompt that almost every single school asks. And a lot of schools do ask it in a long essay format, like 650 words. So it's generally a good idea to be able to break it down and just see sample essays and see what works, see what didn't work. And this was actually accepted to Cornell. Um, if you don't know who I am, my name is Naman. I'm a first year medical student at Washington University. I've been editing essays for the last 5 years on and off, and I'm really excited to be able to make these videos just so that because I want to be able to make this easy process for you, an effective process for you, and be able to write these as effectively as possible. So let's just get started. I'm going to be reading this out loud. So again, the question was, what do you want to study and why do you want to study it at our school? And I was applying to arts and sciences. No way, I stammered. I stood there in my monogrammed lab coat, holding a euthanized mouse that seemingly refused to accept its death. It tossed and turned violently as its autonomic nervous system continued to fire off signals. The poor creature was born lacking the vital SOX11 gene in its cortical cells, thus becoming an unwitting ally in my quest to learn more about brain development. Over the next week, I stained the tissue samples with fluorescent antibodies and visualized the cell structure under a microscope. The event was unforgettable, and yet a typical experience during my last week summer 8-week internship at Georgetown University's Donahue Neuroscience Laboratory. The brain genuinely intrigues me. I am astonished that sublime emotional experiences and great intellectual pursuits are all rooted in the simple firing of neurotransmitters and tidbits of DNA. With access to transgenic technology at my internship, I could help map the very program that makes us conscious. I advanced my laboratory's evolutionary mapping project by comparing mouse and frog neuronal morphology. I was thrilled when the American Academy of Neurology recognized my research among the top 15 neuroscience projects in the country. My curiosity continued far beyond my enriching internship. At science fairs, I met experts who critiqued my procedures and cross examined my knowledge of neuroscience, which encouraged me to keep reading primary source articles from my mentor's neuroscience reading list. Actually, my final project begged more enticing questions, such as how can experience itself strengthen the signaling power of the synapse? Which proteins in the nervous system respond to injury? I hope to continue researching the answers at Cornell under renowned experts such as Professor Elizabeth Atkin Regan and Professor Christiane Linzer. Cornell's College of Arts and Sciences is the perfect venue for me to pursue and refine neuroscience research endeavors. I want to major in biology with a concentration in neurobiology and behavior. I am excited in the Department of Neurobiology and Behavior creative teaching process that combines lectures. Where am I? That combines lectures, group learning, and independent research. On that note, two courses that interest me are the principles of neurophysiology and modeling behavioral evolution, particularly because they encourage class dialogue on the latest neurobiological research developments and in-depth analysis of research papers. Outside of academics, I would love to participate in community outreach efforts such as the Everyday Neuroscience program led by the Society for Neuroscience. I would also actively participate and contribute to Cornell's student-run scientific journal Synapse. I'm equally interested in Cornell's unique liberal arts approach that emphasizes discovery and creativity. Last year, I watched Professor uh, Nima Arkani Hamed's lecture on the morality of fundamental physics on YouTube to better understand the debate topic, and I was amazed by how interesting he made the complex material and how his question forced me to contemplate the broader ramifications of scientific advancements. Through debate, I've read numerous books by philosophers such as David Hume, Immanuel Kant, and John Locke, and I've learned the importance of clearly articulating philosophical ramifications of scientific experiments to a layman. As such, I wanted to minor in philosophy at Cornell. Neuroscience and philosophy give rise to numerous questions such as the source of consciousness and the possibility of a human soul, questions I would enjoy positing to Professor Laurent. Finally, the vibrant student body, unbridled enthusiasm about student culture would make my college experience exciting. The Cornell Speech and Debate Society would provide an excellent opportunity to enhance my debate skills. An avid dancer who has performed at Indian weddings in front of hundreds of people, I would enjoy being part of Cornell Sitara My friends at Cornell from high school told me that the faculty always make themselves available to students during free time, which fosters a relaxed and productive environment. At Cornell, I know for my next 4 years, I will find a place both academically and culturally. So that's my Cornell essay, and I'm going to just spend a few minutes and tell you kind of like my reflections on this essay, what worked, what didn't work, and what I think about it several years later. So I think that a general structure that will serve you well, especially for these longer why our school essays, is establish what you're interested in because they're asking, what are you interested in? And establish it as specifically as possible with an anecdote or a series of anecdotes. So here my goal was to try to establish that I was interested in biology and neuroscience through this anecdote that I had of working in the Donahue Research Laboratory. And basically, what I'm establishing is what were the moments, what were the key epiphanies that I had that made me realize that, yes, I really like neuroscience. And it's a lot easier to show these passions of yours, these interests of yours through experiences and stories rather than just telling somebody, like, I find math interesting because I like problem solving. That's really vague versus something like, oh, the first time I remember being in algebra class and I couldn't understand the lines where they were going and the slope and the different equations, and then I got tutoring and I learned this and like it kind of clicked for me, and that was the first time that I really fell in love with these lines and graphs, and that translated to geometry. And you can kind of see like the progression of your interest. That's what really is captivating to other people to hear. And so the more stories you can tell or just think about, the better your essay is going to be, because the stronger evidence you're going to provide for the interest that you're having. So the number one part of the structure is establish stories and evidence to explain what you're interested in. The second part is, how is the college that you're applying to that's asking you this question going to help you establish and advance your interest in that field. So if if you're like me and you like neuroscience and you're applying to a school, then you want to explain why you're applying to that school and how it'll help you advance your interest and study that field in more and greater depth. And the good thing about most colleges is they have a place for everybody. And so if you're interested in marketing, you can still write a really good essay. If you're interested in math, you can still write a good essay. If you're interested in dance, you can still write a good essay. You basically want to just explain what your college experience, what your student experience would look like if you went to that school. And so even though a lot of times these questions are, what are you interested in? Why do you want to come to our school? Or why do you want to come to our school? Or why us? It's always like, why them, right? But you're not just explaining why they're a great school. You're not just talking about like, oh, you have a beautiful campus, you have great dorms, all these things, right? You're also talking about why you want to go there. And so that critical you component is very important, because the more you can share about your interests and your personality, the more you can explain your specific experience at college. And so by telling them, you're going to participate in these volunteer clubs, like I talked about, like being in these two different courses, having this access to research papers, being a part of the scientific journal, participating in a volunteer organization led by the Society for Neuroscience. So they kind of get a better idea of what sorts of experiences I would seek out as a student at Cornell. And so your job is first to show them what is the anecdote, what is the story of how you got interested in a field, and second to show them, well, how are you going to take advantage of the resources at the college to advance your interest that you've been doing for the past couple of years. And so hopefully in your high school experience, you've had some experiences where you were able to, advance your interests, where you were able to seek out something that you found fascinating. And your job is to explain how the college you're applying to will help you advance your interest and help you become a better, more well-rounded person. And so ultimately, that's kind of what I did here. But you can also see that I added a little bit more. So I talked about how I was really interested in debate and philosophy at the time. So different things that different professors I would talk to, all those things, like maybe minoring in a philosophy or something like that. And then the last paragraph was about how I would kind of enjoy the student culture there, how I would participate in speech and debate, how I would love to join the dance team. And so it's not all about neuroscience, even though a bulk of it is, but there's also these other things that are still revealing things about myself. Like they wouldn't have known that I was interested in philosophy unless I mentioned it here, or they wouldn't have known that I was interested in dance unless I mentioned it here. So the main thing that I want you to take away from it is that you should try to share anecdotes of things that you're interested in, of subjects you're interested in, and you should try to explain how the college experience at that college is going to benefit you as a person. And so try to be specific with that, because the more specific you can be with how you're going to take advantage of things, the more they can imagine you as a student at their campus, and the more likely they are to accept you. Whew. All right, that was a lot. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. I'll be happy to get back to you. If you want professional essay editing, I'm really happy to provide that service as well. There's going to be a link in the comments down below as well. Otherwise, I hope you have a really great day. Thanks for making it all the way through this video. I have tons of other videos coming up, so please feel free to check those out too, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.